and taking 30 minutes out of your life just to learn some things about how the body works, and in this particular case, how the male body works. I have several talks on women. In fact, I have 3 talks specifically devoted to women and hormones. This is the only one I have that's devoted to men. And so, would you agree that that just from listening to radio commercials and TV commercials, that men may be having some issues in our culture? Okay, and how would you ascertain that? What are you hearing?
Oh, the testosterone replacement therapy ads.
You hear them all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen to sports talk radio on occasion. They always have those ads, always. On other stations that I listen to, where the announcer, the speaker's a male, they usually have a talk on testosterone or a commercial on testosterone. And this talk tonight is one of my functional medicine talks. Now, we have two different divisions in my office. I have actually 3. I have chiropractic, we have functional medicine, and then we have animal health care, natural health care for animals. This is a functional medicine talk. And so, you're right, we hear about testosterone replacement all the time. Now, what's the elephant in the room there, if I could ask that question? What is the, when you hear about testosterone replacement therapy, what would you say what's the really big, the elephant in the room that nobody's talking about?
Replace it with what?
Okay. They're going to replace it with testosterone or some form of it.
Okay.
Sex drive.
Okay, that would be one. That goes along with it. But there's a much deep. That's one of the symptoms. There's even a much deeper. There's actually a deeper question than that.
Being tired.
Okay. Again, that's a symptom. Okay, that's a legitimate symptom. There's even a deeper question than that.
Now, if you don't like yourself.
Okay. How about this question? What's causing men to lose their testosterone?
Yeah.
What's causing that in the first place? Okay, that's a really legitimate question. And here's the thing about men. Most men will take care of their cars better than they do their own bodies. How many men do you know that change the oil every 3,000 miles? I do. Okay, I don't miss, man, because I don't want, and you look at and I always pick on college-age women when it comes to changing the oil. College-age women, a lot of them don't change the oil, and all of a sudden their cars don't work, and they can't understand why. Okay, but men, we're not like that, man. We change the oil, we take care of our stuff, generally. But we don't even know how to take care of our own bodies. So when our bodies break down, we go, what's going on? Why isn't it working? Well, it's for the same reason you don't take care of your car. Your car's not going to work. So tonight we're going to talk about the male body and how it works, how to get it to work, and why it breaks down in the first place. So approximately 16 million men suffer from less than optimal testosterone in the U.S. today. I think it's higher than that. Many men in their 40s and 50s have less than 50% of the testosterone they had when they were 30. Here's symptoms of low or low normal testosterone in men. Now, this is a really important fact. This separates the difference between medicine and functional medicine, because in functional medicine, a low normal is significant because that can produce symptoms. In general medicine, generally when they see a low normal, they say it's normal, there's no big deal, okay? But fatigue, lethargy, no motivation, weight gain, especially around the abdomen, no stamina, loss of muscle tone, depression or mood swings, loss of sex drive, low sleep quality. A lot of those men, what do? They drink energy drinks, Monster, Red Bull, okay. Now, I can't drink those. I mean, I've tried a couple of times. I just can't do it. They don't work for me, and they work negatively on me, but a lot of them do it. most of the people you see drinking those drinks are what? They're males, okay? I'm not saying you never see a woman do it, but most of the market of energy drinks marketed to men. I mean, when you think of Rockstar and Monster, who does they don't call it Barbie doll, so they're appealing to men. Okay, so what are the health risks from low testosterone? Increased risk for premature death, cancer, cardiovascular disease, memory loss, clinical depression, and generalized inflammation. So let's look at the key things that cause drops in testosterone. Number one is stress. Are we under any stress this year? Some of us more than others, okay? But everybody had some. Poor diet, okay? So stress elevates cortisol. Poor diet, meaning a high sugar diet, elevates insulin. Insulin, cortisol are the 900-pound gorillas when it comes to hormones. Every other hormone in the body rotates, revolves around these two, okay? When cortisol goes up, actually insulin goes up when cortisol goes up. These are the two main hormones. Now, insulin is secreted by the pancreas and primarily responds to sugar. Cortisol is secreted by the adrenal glands and responds to stress. The adrenal glands sit on top of the kidneys. Now, there's this dance between cortisol and insulin and testosterone in the body. So let me show you how this works. When insulin or cortisone are high, the body starts converting testosterone to estrogen. Okay, so here's the deal, and just think about this. Too much sugar in the diet turns men into women. Okay, just remember that. Okay, estrogen or testosterone turns into estrogen. So your testosterone goes down. Cortisol stops testosterone production dead in its tracks. So, I mean, everybody has some stress, okay? That's normal. I'm talking about prolonged, long-term stress. Elevates cortisol. Elevated estrogen kills cells in the testicles responsible for making testosterone. So that's what happens when your estrogen goes up. So cortisol stops testosterone production. Estrogen, actually, too much estrogen actually kills the cells in the testicle that makes testosterone. And remember, what elevates estrogen? Too much sugar. When insulin goes up with sugar. Too much sugar in the diet. When the insulin goes up and it stays high, that activates an enzyme called aromatase, which causes testosterone to turn into estrogen. So, one of the ways that you can keep your testosterone healthy is to keep the level of sugar you're eating down. Okay?
Now, does that matter what kind of sugar? Like fruits?
I'm not talking about fruit.
Sugar?
I'm talking about added sugar in the diet.
Okay.
Talking about sweets,
Okay.
desserts,
Okay.
donuts, too much white bread, things like that.
Okay.
Okay? Now, increased abdominal fat is another enemy of testosterone in men. Increased fat contains and releases many pro-inflammatory chemicals that inhibit testosterone release. Now, we're going to talk about how to get rid of that, but let's just talk about insulin here for just a second. Insulin and fat. When insulin goes up and it stays high, what happens is that locks fat into the cell. It's like it takes a key, locks it in there, and it can't get out. You can't lose weight, okay? So one of probably the most important blood tests that I do on my test panel is fasting insulin. If you show me somebody's insulin levels, I can tell you more about their diet, more about their lifestyle than any other single test. Because if somebody comes in and they have a high level of insulin, what that's telling me is that they're not exercising much, they're not eating a very good diet. So insulin locks in fat, okay? So one of the things you have to do, if your insulin levels are high and you want to lose weight, you have to lower insulin in order to lose weight. Well, when insulin levels goes up, and you gain fat, what happens is that releases pro-inflammatory chemicals in the body that throws everything out of kilter. Now, here's a couple of interesting studies. Here's one. Young men were about to they were going to go skydiving, and they looked at they when they were ready to board the plane, they took their blood, and they found out their cortisol went up, testosterone went down. Okay, so would you say for the first time you ever went skydiving that might be stressful? Yeah, it would be for me. Okay. Here's another one. During exposure to spontaneously occurring workplace stress, 51-year-old men exhibited significantly decreased in serum testosterone concentrations. So we looked at 51-year-old men, took controls, one under stress, one group under stress, one under not under stress. One's under stress, low testosterone. So controlling stress and controlling insulin are really, really important. Now, here's something that's really, another thing that's really important to understand. What about all the over-the-counter drugs people take? They're safe, right? Yeah. I mean, if they're over-the-counter, you can buy them, they must be safe. Okay, testosterone is lowered by over-the-counter painkillers and anti-inflammatories. So, ibuprofen, which lots of people take, we're told by our doctors to take it if we've got pain, induce the state of compensated hypogonadism, which is another way of saying lower testosterone, which occurred as early as 14 days and was maintained until the end of the trial at 44 days. So you take this for 14 days straight, ibuprofen, testosterone's going to drop. Okay? How many times have people been advised to take ibuprofen for pain? All the time. How many people knew this? You hear this on the commercials? You hear that on the ibuprofen commercials? No, you don't. It should be on there. Okay? There's another one. The striking dual effect of ibuprofen on both the Leydig and the Sertoli cells. These are the cells in your testes which produce testosterone. It had significant endocrine disrupting properties identified so far in men. So, of all the chemical classes considered, this had the broadest endocrine disrupting properties in men, is ibuprofen. What about acetaminophen? There's a distinctive pattern of depletion of sex hormones with the use of acetaminophen across all populations. The effect of taking acetaminophen on sex hormones was equivalent to the effect of 35 years of aging. Okay, that's in a journal called eBiomedicine, February 8th of 2018. So the two things that we're told to take for pain, ibuprofen and acetaminophen, tank men's testosterone. Okay? Now, we don't, at our house, we don't take this. I don't know if we have any in our house or not. I'll take anything for pain, ever. I use a laser. I'll do, I guess if I got a tooth pulled, I might take for a few days, but maybe a day. But I just won't do this because I know too much about what these drugs do. By the way, you know that acetaminophen is one of the major drugs that causes kidney failure in people. Anybody ever hear of the basketball player Alonzo Mourning? Mm-hmm. And he was a big star for the Miami Heat about 20 years ago. Well, he almost lost kidney function because he was taking so many painkillers for the pain in his knees. And when that got around the NBA, none of those players take painkillers anymore because they didn't want to wind up like him. Now, he was managed to save his career barely, but he almost lost his career, his kidneys, everything, because of the amount of painkillers he was taking. Most people on dialysis are on dialysis because of the drugs they took. Okay, an important study published in 2017 showed a 60% decline in the quantity and quality of human sperm over a 38-year period. That's just unbelievable. Because what is that going to do to to people's ability to have kids? It's going to tank it. Okay, so let's talk about the testosterone switch. Things that we can do to increase our testosterone. Number one is you want to eat a low glycemic diet, a diet low in sugar. So what would this look like? Meats, vegetables, fruits aren't too bad, nuts and seeds, okay? And you want to eat antioxidant-rich foods to protect the cells in your testes, which produce testosterone. So, blueberries, raspberries. I mean, there's lots of antioxidant foods out there. Now, I can tell you this: whenever I eat a salad, okay, I always put blueberries on my salad. Every time I have a salad, big handful of blueberries goes on. Why? There's a reason, right here. Okay. What's another food? I put this. I actually posted this on my Facebook page a couple days ago. What's another food that's incredibly high in antioxidant that you put on your salad? Anybody know? Okay, bean sprouts. Bean sprouts are incredibly high in vitamin C and antioxidants. And that's another thing we use is bean sprouts. Where do you get bean sprouts? You get them in any Asian store here in town. Most of those are located north of O Street on 27th. We buy bean sprouts at our house every week. We use them primarily in salads and in soups. Very, very high in antioxidants. So why don't most men respond well to testosterone replacement? Okay, let's just talk about testosterone replacement for a second. Some men respond okay to it. I'm not saying nobody does, but when you put any hormone in somebody's body, what does that do? What does that do?
Throws everything else off.
Good answer. Throws everything else off. But let me ask you this: if you take a 17-year-old, let's take a trust fund kid, and you just give them money all the time. They don't have to work. You buy them cars. What happens to that kid?
Spoiled.
Okay, but what's the end result?
Lazy.
Yeah, he doesn't work. He doesn't have to. When you constantly put a hormone of any kind in a person's body, okay, the gland producing that hormone says, "You don't need to work." Right. That's exactly right, Jerry. I don't need to work. So when you put testosterone replacement in a male, when you replace the testosterone, body says, I don't have to do this anymore. Don't need to work. Okay? So a lot of men don't respond well to that. Here's another issue is there's a lot of people have high homocysteine. And homocysteine is a measure of oxidative stress in the arteries. They do not respond well to testosterone. Now, homocysteine is a simple blood test that you can do. People that have low B6, low B12, and low folic acid usually have high homocysteine. So this is a direct response to a lack of certain B vitamins in the body. A lot of people out there aren't getting enough B vitamins that the body can actually use. So here's some things for antioxidant type foods and good things for lowering testosterone. The New England Journal of Medicine in 2009 published an interesting article on testosterone replacement therapy. They said cardiovascular problems were 4 times more likely in men using testosterone replacement than those that were not. Many had swollen and painful breasts, increased blood clots in legs, low sperm counts. Just quoting the New England Journal of Medicine, okay? They had other unwanted symptoms. JAMA, February 21st, 2017, 3 years ago. Testosterone replacement therapy was marketed before there was any scientific proof that it worked. Okay? There was a modest increase in sexual function which waned after 1 year. No benefit to vitality, no benefit to physical function or vitality, no benefit to cognitive function, produced increased plaque in the arteries, some benefit in decreasing anemia, beneficial in increasing bone density. Now, this is what the JMA, Journal of American Medical Association, said about testosterone therapy. I'm not saying nobody ever feels like they benefit from that. That's not true, but they're saying this is what the study showed. Let's look at testosterone switch number 2, high-intensity exercise. So when you exercise with high intensity, you boost testosterone. So short-term, this is a Journal of Physiology, short-term sprint interval training increased insulin sensitivity in healthy adults, but does not affect the thermogenic response to adrenergic stimulation. Basically what they're saying here is that it doesn't hurt your adrenals. Your cortisol levels don't go up, but your insulin goes down. That's what high intensity in exercise does. Now, do you have to run? Do you have to do sprints? No. So I'll give you some other. So here's an example of high intensity exercise you can do if you don't do it. Now, I do high intensity hill running myself. I do it all the time. But if you don't want to do that, how about some high intensity walking or high intensity hill walking? So instead of running up a hill, just walk hard up the hill and walk down easy. Walk hard up, walk down easy. Do 5 or 6 of those, and you've done some high intensity exercise. Okay? Eventually, you might try doing some sprinting, and you don't have to do it up a hill. But you don't have to become an Olympic athlete to do this. You just have to pick something out that you want to do intensively, and then do it. You could do like some intensive weightlifting with light weights. You could take, 15-pound weights and just do this real hard until you're exhausted. Okay, that's high intensity exercise. So high intensity exercise actually lowers insulin levels. Now, here's the Journal of Applied Physiology and the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research. Just one bout of intense exercise positively influences, even resets, the endocrine physiology of cortisol, insulin, testosterone, and glucose metabolism. Just one bout of it, one set of exercise. So high intensity interval training really, really powerful for managing your hormone levels. Now, how many of you have watched the Olympics? Okay, so would you say there's a difference between the way that the sprinters look and the way the marathon runners look? Okay, what's the difference?
The muscle mass.
Yeah, who has more muscle mass?
Oh, the sprinters.
Oh, the sprinters. I mean, they come walking up. They get ready to. They have great physiques. Why is that? Because sprinting is high intensity exercise. High intensity exercise increases testosterone, increases muscle mass, lowers cortisol levels, and lowers insulin levels. So, and you ever look at the marathon runners? How do they look? Look, they're thinner. They're kind of gaunt. Okay, marathon running is actually pretty stressful on the body. Okay, it elevates cortisol. Okay, so I don't recommend marathon running. They may be very fit, but they aren't necessarily real healthy. Okay, it's the sprinters that are healthy, and they look healthy. Okay, so any kind of high intensity workouts are really going to help with cortisol. Testosterone switch number 3. What kind of nutritional supplements do you need to take? Well, there's several, and we have several formulas here that are really good. Phosphatidylserine, we have a product here, a couple products that have that in it. Isophos is one. Another product is soybean lecithin. Has phosphatidylserine in it. It reduces cortisol, okay? It helps your body manage cortisol levels. Ashwagandha, really good for helping your body manage stress. Astaxanthin, very powerful antioxidant. Pomegranate juice extract inhibits aromatase activity, which helps keep your body from turning cortisol or testosterone into estrogen. Tribulus, we haven't been able to get this for a while. For men with low testosterone, the best herb in the world to give them, one of them, is tribulus. It really helps elevate testosterone. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get it for a long time. We should be able to get it in February. Olive oil. University of Athens Medical School said 9 tablespoons a week will increase testosterone in 3 to 4 weeks. Olive oil. Okay. There's one more, and that's ginseng. I don't have it up here. Korean ginseng, also good for increasing testosterone. We have a product here that I take on and off called rhodiola ginseng. Rhodiola is really good for you're helping your adrenal glands manage stress. Ginseng is really good for male hormone production. So, if you look at this, the triad of health, emotions, biochemistry, and structure. So, low testosterone, the biochemistry, causes weight gain, which affects structure. Low testosterone and weight gain equals loss of energy, which can lead to what? Depression. Too much sugar, which is a biochemical issue, and refined carbohydrate in the diet elevates insulin, lowers testosterone, increasing insulin. Low testosterone can lead to depression, which elevated insulin and low testosterone will lead to weight gain and muscle and joint pain, and again, leads to depression. So the triad, the 3 areas of our health, emotions, biochemistry, and structure, are very, very interconnected. So some other facts regarding estrogen in men. Total estrogen should be below 30 nanograms per deciliter. Fat cells store estrogen and hasten the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. Losing fat inhibits estrogen conversion. Heavier drinking stops the clearance of estrogen from the body. Grapefruit inhibits the breakdown of estrogen. Cruciferous vegetables, such as, what are the cruciferous vegetables? Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, bean sprouts, stimulate the clearance of estrogen. Saw palmetto suppresses estrogen. Now, saw palmetto is an herb that I give for elevated or enlarged prostate. There's drugs that inhibit estrogen detoxification. What are they? All your NSAIDs, the ones we talked about. Antibiotics, antifungals, cholesterol-lowering drugs, antipsychotic medications, blood pressure meds, calcium channel blockers, high-dose synthetic vitamin E, dietary or general dietary deficiencies. All your abusive drugs they inhibit your body from getting rid of estrogen. Now you know why there's so many testosterone replacement clinics out there. Now, last thing I want you to understand, this is really, really important, is this is the hormone pathway right here. All of our hormones, sex hormones, are made out of cholesterol. All of them. Every one of them. Okay? Cholesterol is turned into pregnenolone, which is turned into DHEA, which eventually ends up as testosterone. Now here, you see testosterone is either turned into estradiol or dihydrotestosterone. Okay, cortisol and insulin cause this here. So what do you think cholesterol-lowering drugs do? What do you think they do to your testosterone? They lower it because your body needs cholesterol for a whole bunch of things, but it has to have it to make testosterone. So dihydrotestosterone is something you don't want very much of either. It's deposited in hair follicles and causes your hair to fall out, causes you to go bald. So why is testosterone converted to DHT? Low progesterone, which would come from low DHEA, deficient essential fatty acids, and low zinc, which is extremely important for prostate function. So zinc is a definite player in this also. So strategies for lowering DHTA and estrogen in men. The herb Schisandra and saw palmetto is really good for that. Cruciferous vegetables is really good. Lactic acid yeast will also help clear excess estrogen. And I use that a lot for gut issues. So we do have products here that are really, really good for that. So, and here's a couple of pictures of them. Adrenal tonic, really good for adrenal glands. And if you want to find out if you have issues with what I've talked about, we do the testing here. We do a comprehensive male hormone test, which will tell us exactly what's going on with your hormones. We do fasting insulin, and we do an adrenal stress index test. So we have tests that we can do that will help you understand what's going on with your body. Then we can give you the right products and give you the right advice to help balance that out. So here's a question is, who do you know that has issues with this that's not getting any help? Because we can help these people. We can do the right testing, we give the right products, we give the right advice in terms of diet and exercise. And right now, I promise you, after this talk, you know more about this subject than 99% of the people in our culture, including, I believe, probably a lot of physicians out there. After hearing this talk, you know more about this subject than 99% of the people out there. But so one of the things you can do is help them understand this yourself, or you can send them in here. I'll be happy to talk to them and steer them wherever they need to go, whether it's here or someplace else. Anybody have any questions? I don't know why the phone's ringing.
At 7 o'clock, I don't know.